Hello there. It's 11/22/22, November 22nd, 2022. I'm Joe Weston, and we're here and we have a number of people on who are in pairs. So it just seems like 11 and 22, and it seems to be the theme. We've got actually a number of people. That's really lovely. So again, sorry, I got distracted by my numbers. I'm Joe Weston, and we're here for our online global practice for reviving the global heart. And we're getting into the end of November, beginning of December here in the Northern Hemisphere. It's getting quite cold. I've been hearing from people around the world. I'm going to the Netherlands next week, and everyone's telling me, because of course of the situation with petrol and gas, and to dress warmly because no one's heating their homes at the moment, or very rarely. They're rationing their heat. And we can only just feel love and appreciation for those in the Southern Hemisphere who are just embracing summer. And that just is another symbol and an indication of the impermanence of each and every moment. And in a sense, that is the beauty of life, is the more we understand and embrace the impermanence, the more we can step into and appreciate this very moment, which I do every week as we gather. It's really a joy. As Dean's showing us, it's really a joy to be here with you, to feel your commitment, to feel your love, to share your wisdom, and to always give me hope that people can show up on a regular basis and be in community and loving community, even through the World Wide Web. In fact, making use of the World Wide Web to weave a golden thread of lasting peace throughout the world. And I wanted to talk a little bit this time about, because this is the time of year when people often ask me, oh my goodness, I'm going to visit with my family, whether it's in the US for the United States Thanksgiving, or the holidays that are coming up in December. In fact, I went to a brunch this past weekend, and that was a lot of the conversation of how do I deal with my relatives who hold different political views, and Fierce Civility, and just the whole notion about how triggered we all have become. That if you think about it, well, I don't know how many years, but there was a time when people had viewpoints, they didn't identify with their viewpoints. And we have forgotten that we used to be able to discuss our viewpoints because they were just things we had. It wasn't a personal threat to someone or existential threat. And now it seems we have come into this place where we identify with everything that we believe to be true. Therefore, any discussion means that it almost feels like an existential threat. So how do we get back to that place where we can remember that all of our viewpoints, all the things that we believe are mental constructs that we were taught at some point, and made the decision to take them on as true for us. And I would imagine many of us here who join in on a weekly basis or on a regular basis with Reviving the Global Heart have some kind of practice where what I call courageous self-reflection, where you're able to look at the things that you believe, or that your parents told you, your place of worship told you, your government told you, your teachers or peers or whomever, and take a moment and consider, do I really believe this, or do I just believe it because I was told to believe it? And the more of us who can do it, the more we can realize that maybe the things we believe, we don't really believe, we just haven't taken the time to examine otherwise. And I talk about this a lot in my book, about how this leads to freedom. That true freedom and liberation is being able to recognize that how we perceive our reality is based on our mental constructs, and that most of our mental constructs create separation, limitations, and in a sense, the more we believe our mental constructs to be true without examining them, we put ourselves in smaller and smaller boxes. So by questioning our mental constructs and believing what we believe to be true, we then can open up and see maybe it's not as rigidly, inherently concrete as I think it is, then we create space in those mental constructs, and the more space we can create, the freer we become. And this is, to me, the sense of what true freedom can be. And I'll tell a story. I bring this up in my book about that where I've done so much study in different traditions, Eastern traditions, Western philosophies, on understanding the true nature of reality. Amazing teachers that I am so grateful for. But the greatest teaching I had was when I was a boy. And it had to do with the fact that I may have told some of you this story already. So if I have, sorry, but I'm going to tell you again. There were two things I loved, as many things I loved as a boy, but two of the things I loved as a boy was maps and cartoons. And I used to love to look at maps. And I was proud that I can name all the different 50 states of the United States, and I can name countries around the world. And I would spend hours staring at the maps and looking at the borders and all of that. I also loved cartoons. And if for those of you who are around my age and watched a lot of cartoons, they were usually of one character chasing another character. A lot of it seemed to be what it was all about. And there were a number, I don't know if it was Roadrunner or Bugs Bunny, but there was an episode where one of them ran across a state line, which meant that the person chasing them couldn't cross I don't even remember what it was, but I do remember. And the way we knew they were crossing the state line was that there was a big, thick black line that went across the desert. It was, of course, deserts. There was cactuses everywhere, with certainly Roadrunner. You know what I'm talking about. So this big, thick line. So as a boy, I just made the connection that studying maps and watching the cartoons, that when you crossed a border, you would see a big, thick black line. So the first time that I remember as a boy, when we were leaving New York City to go to probably New Jersey, I don't know where we were going, I was so excited to get for the first time to see the big black line. And I was really disappointed when it wasn't there. And that really stuck with me. And that all my life, I've been contemplating this idea of, in a sense, a border is a person-made agreement. It's nothing more than a person-made agreement. It only exists because people have decided to make it exist, which means if people decide it doesn't need to exist anymore, they can just make the decision and it can go away. It doesn't exist inherently on its own. It's not concrete. You can't touch it. And yet think about how much destruction or how much is dependent on these ideas of borders. How much, in a way, it serves us in terms of governance, but how many people have died or have suffered or are oppressed because of borders for something that inherently doesn't exist. It only exists because people have decided it so. And many of our mental of the ways we're treating each other now is the same thing. They're just agreed upon, they're just person-made agreements. And the challenge in that is, like, it's a shame that so much harm and hardships are happening because of that. The good news is that if people made them up, we can also unmake them up, in a sense. It's just a matter of looking at that. And I believe that brings freedom. And a lot of this work is to help us to recognize that the labels we have are the very things that are not only keeping us from engaging with others to find new solutions, but that are harming us in a way because we get caught up in a spin. And of course, the three rigid labels that we use is loved one, stranger, and adversary. And with that, just naturally, is that when we immediately pluck a label or lump someone in that category, our whole system, without thinking about it, the nervous system just goes into attachment mode. Like this, my nervous system can relax and just know that I can trust this. That's really lovely, but the challenge in that also is that we are no longer objectively looking at that person and maybe seeing their defaults. And we then see them as all good and everyone else is all bad. or our adversaries, if we lump someone as adversary, we don't see the person anymore. We just see the silhouette of adversary, and we don't take any time to investigate that maybe they're not as bad as we think. And maybe because they have different political views or other kinds of views, that they may not be an adversary. They may simply be perhaps a stranger that has different views than us. And so we have an attachment to loved ones, an aversion to strangers, and inherently an indifference to adversaries, and inherently an indifference to strangers. And that is what this work is. That's what many people around the world are doing. I know Carl is doing that with his events, and many of you are Tim is doing this beautiful work. All of you are doing this great work to understand the mental construct of separation, that we have more in common than we think, that we are already interdependent and interconnected. And that when we can overcome our initial indifference to strangers and just realize that that's just a first response, we can find a way to get more engaged, to cultivate more curiosity, more compassion, more empathy. And that the idea is, in this work, is how do we cultivate and find and cultivate alliances in surprising places? That, to me, is the key to our survival as a species. How do we commit to finding and cultivating alliances in surprising places? The only way we're going to do it is to overcome our surprise, is if we soften the rigidity of our labels of one another and the mental constructs. That's the only way. We're not going to bridge or create alliances if we're rigidly holding on to those things. And that's what's limiting us. And therefore, as we soften the rigidity of our mental constructs, that's where suddenly more hope and possibility are out there, and that's our freedom. So I was going to talk about the holidays, and I guess I could, but I think it's just a question of realizing that when you are if you are going to be visiting with people who hold different views, and some tips to think about is that you can decide if you want to have conversations or not. You can use skills, the respectful confrontation skills, help you to remember, if you can remember them, for those of you who have studied that you can set clear boundaries. Boundary doesn't mean that you shut someone out. It simply means you're making a delineation. I'm only going to go this far. And that you can claim, you say, I'll have conversations with you if and only if it stays civil, right? So I say there's different strategies of how to approach challenges and reactivity. There's the no exclamation strategy. This is a good review for some of you who've studied the respectful confrontation work. I should ask like a quiz. Do you remember? There's no exclamation point, which basically says, no, I'm not feeling safe in this encounter. And no exclamation point basically says, no, there's no discussion. I'm not having this conversation. And that on some level, if you are not feeling safe, you don't need to justify that. Your safety comes first. However, there are many subtleties in no. There's what we call no, comma, and ... where you can say, I'm concerned about having this conversation. I'd rather not have this conversation. However, which is the and, if we can agree that we will stay civil, then I'd be willing to try out the conversation. And as soon as it stops being civil, my no and turns into a no exclamation point. Or you can just say yes, and you can do yes and at the same thing. Yes, and I just want to make sure that we're going to take care of each other in this conversation. So that's boundary setting. That's not shutting anyone out. In fact, it's inviting them into a deeper level of engagement. And what you're doing there is you're advocating for yourself, as well as making space for advocating for the other. And that's the big one, I would say, that if you are going to be engaging with people who are different and have different viewpoints, and so you can make a choice to have those conversations or not. And that if you feel that it's not going to lead to anything productive, just don't do it. Say, I'm not going to do it. However, I will say that one thing that I have said for decades now is that the process of lasting peace on this planet isn't going to happen in war rooms. It's not going to happen in policies. It's going to happen at the kitchen table. It's going to happen at the supermarket. It's going to happen when we're driving. It's going to happen when we're engaging with people. That's what lasting peace. Policy, yes, you can write a treaty for peace, but that doesn't mean, that actually doesn't mean there's peace. It simply means that the mental construct of a person-made agreement not to kill each other anymore. That's all you've done. So the true polarity, and this is when you read my book, you'll see this, the true polarity of war is not peace. The true polarity of war is not war. And you can't get to peace until you first have not war. And so the process of lasting peace, when you're no longer in war, is the process of the moment to moment, day to day commitment to be a nurturer and protector to yourself, to others, and to the integrity of the conversation. To make sure you're safe, to make sure others are safe, to create a space of safety so that people can settle in, they can settle their nervous systems, feel safe enough to go through that process of transformation of viewpoints, habits, and patterns so that people can come closer together and remember who we are at our best. So that's a tip for the holidays. Another one is to remember that if it's family members or friends, you love each other. And there was a time before this era we're in, where you really enjoyed being with each other. Remember that and call people back to that. What else? Any other tips I can give? Be curious. You might want to not talk and just listen. You might learn something. Just be curious and allow others to talk and hear what they have to say. And then that might give you the entrance to find a way to appeal to their heart and not necessarily to try to be right. And remember the golden rule, do I want to be right or do I want to be effective? The golden rule, whether we like it or not, we all want to be right, and we may even be right, but that's not the effective approach to get more buy-in and to get more connection and deepening of relationship. Oh, humor. That's also a good one, huh? To bring humor into it. And have a support system. Know what your daily practice is if you're spending a few days or something. You know, if you like to jog, if there's anything you like to do, find the things that bring you back to yourself. Do mindfulness, meditation, yoga, whatever brings you back to yourself. And have a support network. Maybe ask 2 or 3 friends, hey, listen, if I need you, can I call you? Will you be available? Like the game shows, like I'm going to call a friend. And it doesn't have to be long, and say, I just need 3 minutes. I just need to talk to someone who knows who I am and loves me, to ground me and get me back to my heart. So those are a few tips. I shared a lot of different concepts. Let's bring that into our practice. Yes? And then I would love to hear, does this apply to the World Cup? No, it doesn't. Ophelia, good question. As long as you win, the Dutch have won. So it's we're happy there. And I know Argentina had a bad loss, so so the exception is for people from Argentina. How's that? You have to unmute, Ophelia.
No, it's okay.
Okay. All right, so finding a way to sit where your spine is straight without being rigid. So that you can cultivate, what we're doing in this practice is cultivating fierce compassion and resilience. And resilience for us is a combination of presence, awareness, balance, and flow. So by sitting in this way, you allow the body to have the most optimal level of balance and flow without any obstructions or obstacles. Maybe tucking in your chin a little bit so you can extend all the way up through the back of your head. Relax your jaw, relax your shoulders, relax your belly. Bringing your attention to your core and your lower belly, approximately the width of 3 fingers below your navel, a third of the way into the body, from the front of the body, your center of gravity, impulse, creativity, gut wisdom, we would say personal power and awareness. From your core, become aware of your contact points. Parts of your body that are connecting with what you're sitting on the ground. Feeling as your body comes closer to the ground through gravity, the pressure that's created. And that pressure is valuable information that the nervous system picks up, transmit that up to the brain. Basically says to the brain, this is stable. The brain activates all kinds of different hormones, which help you to drop into a deeper level of relaxation and being held. What a gift just to remember what it's like to be held. And as I always say, Mother Earth is always holding you. She does not discriminate. She holds each one of us equally. From your center, become aware of your physical body as we come more into the present moment, starting with the self, starting with the physical body. Deeper level of sensing, perceiving, listening to how the cues the body gives you. And in the spirit of, in the United States, this Thanksgiving, but just this time of harvest, of gratitude, just gratitude for your physical body. How it provides for you. Allows you to have this human experience. And from your center, become aware of your emotional body. It's checking in. There's no right, there's no good or bad. It's simply noticing what emotions are present for you in this moment. Allow them to be and give them permission to flow. Gratitude for your emotions. And from your center, become aware of your thoughts, your mental body. Quality of your thoughts, not necessarily what you're thinking, but the quality. Are they speeding like a train? Are they slow, tight and judgmental, spacious and compassionate? Gratitude even for your thoughts. And from your center, now bringing awareness to the middle of your chest, your heart center, where your heart power resides, connection, respect, compassion. From your center and your heart, become aware of that part of you that has connection with something larger than yourself. And from that part of you, connecting, noticing your connection in this moment to something larger than yourself, for whatever that means for you. Almost resting in that connection in this present moment. And in the spirit of gratitude, having gratitude for that connection to both something larger than yourself, as well as to Mother Earth. Gifts all around. Allow that flow into your heart, into your core. With this awareness of self, now let that expand out to your personal boundaries in all directions. This awareness filling your personal space. Gratitude for your personal boundaries, for your personal space. With this awareness of self in this present moment from your center and from your heart, take a full breath in. Expanding out your connection with this present moment from your center and from your heart, become aware of your surroundings in all directions. That steps out of your personal space. Gratitude for your space and for all the things in it, all the beings and creatures in it. And with this awareness of self and surroundings from your center and from your heart, take a full breath in. With this awareness of self and surroundings from your center and from your heart, become aware of those in this meditation circle. Those who are joining us from various parts of North America, various parts of Europe, those not joining us on this call at this moment, who are with us in their hearts around the world. From your center and from your heart, connecting with those, at the same time receiving their connection in your center and in your heart. Feeling the gratitude. What a joy and what a gift to connect in this way. Such wisdom, generosity, power, authenticity. And with this awareness of self, surroundings, and those in this meditation circle, from your center and from your heart, take a full breath in. Building on this connection with self, surroundings, and those in this meditation circle, as we all elevate our connection, bringing in all human beings from our center and our heart, beginning with those human beings you would label loved ones. And who arises in your heart? What faces do you see, or groups of people? How many can you hold in your heart at this moment of loved ones? Considering what mental constructs you've made about them. It may not be just about whatever it might be. The stories you have around them that might be in some way getting in the way of a deeper connection, heart connection. And see if you can soften those labels or mental constructs. Be with them and see them for who they actually are in this moment. With gratitude, allowing energy to flow and emotions to flow. Holding on to those that you would consider loved ones in your heart, now bringing your awareness to those that you would label stranger and who arises in your heart. When you do stranger, if you're doing this on a regular basis, is it the same strangers? Do different strangers show up? Do you see actually faces or groups of people? How many can you hold in your heart in this moment? Considering the mental constructs that you have about them that might be getting in the way of you feeling a deeper level of empathy and connection. Might be keeping you from a deeper commitment to want to be engaged. As you allow those mental constructs to soften or dissolve, seeing each and every one of these strangers for who they are in this moment. With gratitude. And from your center and from your heart, becoming aware of those human beings you would label adversaries. Who arises in your heart? What faces do you see? How many? Again, is it the same adversaries every time, or does it change? And as you engage from your center and your heart with their center and their heart, considering the mental constructs you have of them, considering if that shifts your level of nervous system regulation or dysregulation as you engage with them. And is it possible to soften some of the rigidity of those mental constructs and in some way see them anew for who they are in this moment? On some level, having gratitude for them as well. Allowing energy to flow and emotions to flow. And with this commitment or this exercise of softening the rigidity of your mental constructs and feeling each person on some level tapping into from your humanity, connecting with their humanity. Just imagine each and every one of the human family doing the same, committing to the same, always connecting with others, softening the rigidity of the mental constructs, finding a way to connect from humanity to humanity. One global heart. And with that mental image in your heart, from your center and from your heart, take a full breath in. In this moment, allowing all human beings to flow into your heart as you bring your awareness back to your connection with those in this meditation circle. Renewing your sense of gratitude, appreciation. Allowing those in this meditation circle to flow into your heart as you bring your awareness back to your surroundings. Feeling this experience of this global heart, this global family into your surroundings. With gratitude of your surroundings, allow them to flow into your heart as you bring your awareness back to yourself. And take a moment to cut through all the mental constructs you have about yourself and really see if you can experience yourself in this moment for who you truly are. And having an appreciation and gratitude for all the little ways on a daily basis that you contribute to a world of lasting peace. Each and every small contribution could just be a smile you give someone when you're walking on the street, holding the door open for someone. Gratitude for yourself, for the small things. And just noticing in yourself the benefits of this practice, the energy you've generated, that we've generated, and allow that energy to flow into every cell of your body, igniting and awakening every cell of your body. Flowing into each and every organ, nurturing and replenishing and healing all of your organs, your brain, your heart, your lungs, your liver, for instance. Flowing into your nervous system as a way to remember this, muscle memory, to walk this into the world. And lastly, allowing it to flow into your core, seeing your core as a battery, charging your battery to 100% with this life force energy, moving through the world with vitality and resilience. As a way to close this practice, let's take one final breath. When you're ready, slowly open your eyes, stretch your body, shake your body, look around the room. So we started with our motivation. We did our practice. We have some time to reflect. Before we do that, I want to say, so make sure we don't run out of time. Carl Lemieux is here, and I'd love for him to just maybe say a couple of words. And I'd love to have him come speak at some point about his beautiful wisdom and processes. But he's invited me to do a breakfast talk with him at 8 a.m. in the morning, Eastern Standard Time. I'm looking forward to it with a big cup of coffee. And I'm really excited to be in dialogue. Carl, you want to say a little bit about that event?
So we've been doing this for a few years. They actually started pre-COVID when we were actually having coffee with people. I had studios at the time, and we would all come up in the studio, 40, 50 people, and chat with leaders. So I've been varying between leaders, organizational leaders, and experts like you, Joe. And it truly is a, sort of a fireside chat, but with a coffee mug instead, and on different topics. And so just very quickly, my back, very similar, Joe. I've been reading your book and I'm loving it, and it resonates. A lot of stuff that, that resonates for me as well. And it's all around raising consciousness in organizations and presence, maybe in the other order, presence and higher consciousness. And that's what I do for a living. So I basically just bring increased presence and consciousness through various ways. And the idea of the respectful confrontation, just a topic in itself, is evocative, but also your way of going about it has been really interesting for me. 3 of your pillars are very much aligned with what I'm doing, and I realize I have a weakness on the power pillar. So
Strength pillar.
Yeah,
strength.
Sorry, that's the power, because I remember you talked about power inside. So it's insightful for me, and it's not a topic I tend to approach with my speakers normally. We're a lot about mindfulness and emotional compassion and all of that, and so you bring another angle to an important conversation in organizations. So this is what this chat's about. Pretty quick chat, 30-40 minutes, and then we open up for questions from the audience. We've already got over 100 people signed up, and we're going to come as the week progresses. Normally, feel a lot of people coming at the last minute. So that's what this is about. And again, really pleased to have you, Joe, and anybody on this call, of course.
Please come. Carl put the link, the event, to sign up. It's a free event. Yes, it's free.
Yeah, totally free.
Please come and join. I will give I'll give a pass to my West Coast people, but just barely.
Oh my God, West Coast. I didn't realize when we did that, Joe. That's 5 for you.
Yes. I thought you always do it at that time.
I always do it at that time, but I've had exceptions when people were on the West Coast, and for some bizarre reason, I thought you were on the. I thought you were in the New York area.
I am. I'm talking about those people.
Oh, some people are. That's okay. So my apologies for those on the West Coast. We do record it, so just sign in, and you'll get the recording. All right. So just sign in, and we send the recording afterwards.
And please tell people about it. It's exciting, and then it'd be nice to be in community with leaders and other experts in this field. Thank you. Anybody have anything you want to share? The last couple of minutes we have from the talk I gave, from the practice, or just what's on your heart at this time, Christine?
You were talking about, being around family and the holidays. When I remember that the holidays are also a social construct. These are things that I've been told what we do this time of year. I can deal with it a whole lot better, but I still get uncomfortable with it.
Yeah.
And I like what you said about disagreeing with people, but not pushing them away altogether.
Thank you. Thank you. Even the idea of family. I know a number of people on this call that, myself included, who have, designed our own families in a sense. We have our biological families, and we've created our own. So that's a mental construct as well, a social construct. Yeah.
Joe, I know we're running out of time, and I'll just try not to ramble, but in my most recent experience of caring for my sister over these weeks, seeing her back to good health, I have met so many people in her community who are so willing to give whatever they can, whatever is needed. So I've kind of flipped Thanksgiving, instead of giving thanks. It's like, thanks for giving. It's really been a remarkable experience, and one that really I've grown from. I've gained a lot from.
Beautiful. That's what it's about, to remember that, the goodness in people. And Ophelia, I love what you say. This is one family. I love that. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Silas, buddy, it's good to see you. How are the hot horses?
The horses are good.
Yeah.
I just want to share what's on my heart. I think it's actually been 7 months since I have joined this space, and I feel kind of certain about that because I'm 7 months sober, and the last time I got on here, I had just, and I needed to be, and I feel so much lighter. But I had just crashed my truck, got a DUI, spent a night in a rural county jail, and as a trans man, that was a horrifying experience. And I remember getting on here, and I was searching, and I haven't joined the space for 7 months since. And I there's so much power in this circle, and knowing that it happens every week, it kind of blows my mind. And I'm just really grateful to have that checkpoint. And I want to be here more. So thank you for continuing this on and on and on.
Thank you, Silas. We would love to have you, of course. And you can always reach out, dear man, yes? You know that.
I do. Yeah.
All right already then. Jean says, my brother's 35 years clean and sober. Beautiful. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Deep gratitude to you all. Thank you for your commitment with this. As I always say, keep telling people about this. Maybe I'll see you on Friday early morning for the breakfast talk with Carl. If not, I'll see you next week. I will be in the Netherlands next week, so it'll be a different backdrop. And let's do our dedication. The Barrett says, we come into these holiday season, may more and more beings have a warm place warm shelter. May they be loved and have opportunities for abundance of food and laughter and care. And may all beings on this planet have enough fresh water to drink and food to eat. And may all governments and world leaders govern from a place of wisdom, generosity, and compassion, instead of greed and fear. Okay, thank you, dear ones. Have a great week.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Safe travels, everyone.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.